5 days before WWE descends on Tropicana Field in Florida for the Royal Rumble. Tonight's Raw was set to feature the return of CM Punk in a face-to-face confrontation with Cody Rhodes. A moment fans have been waiting for since Punk's return last November. That confrontation headlined a broadcast that also included an update on the health of Seth Rollins, who addressed his future as World Heavyweight Champion amid reports of a significant knee injury. Throw in a battle of badasses between Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest, and the go-home Raw before Saturday's pay-per-view was packed with newsworthy moments. What went down and how did things play out? Find out now with this recap of Monday Night Raw, for this is Ridiculously Raw. Welcome, everybody, to Ridiculously Raw, the most must-see show on YouTube and StreamYard.com today. I am your host, Anthony Florio, joined as always by Good Ol' MF, Michael Fletcher, and of course, the Phenom, Michael Bullock. Bullock and I, of course, fresh off another one of our legendary Raw chats as always. Gentlemen, there's nothing left for me to say except happy Royal Rumble week to you guys. And another Royal Rumble is already here, guys. I mean, unbelievable. And this is the week, baby. This is the week where we hype it all up and we're gonna have a very special treat for you all come Friday night. I will explain that when we do our future content at the end of the show. But let's not waste any more time. Let's dive right on in. The go home for Royal Rumble, Monday Night Raw, live from MF's favoritely named arena, the Smoothie King Center in New Orleans, Louisiana, which, oh, by the way, housed the Royal Rumble event back in 2001, the best Royal Rumble pay-per-view of all time, by the way. That's where you had it tonight, the home of the NBA's New Orleans Pelicans. And we started it off with the big segment, one of the big segments anyway. Seth freaking Rollins making the announcement about his future as the World Heavyweight Champion. And well, here's the story. According to what Rollins was saying, he suffered a grade 2 tear of his MCL and a torn meniscus. Rollins said doctors are telling him that it will be a 3 or 4 month recovery time with surgery. He said if it were up to him, he'd be in the ring next week, but it's not just up to him. And then Rollins was interrupted by Imperium, Intercontinental Heavyweight Champion Gunther, Ludwig Kaiser, and Giovanni Vinci. And Rollins said, you know what? I was about to say that I don't give a damn what the doctors tell me or how hard I have to rehab and push my knee. I will keep my promise. I will take this title into WrestleMania, and I will do every single thing in my power to walk out of WrestleMania the World Heavyweight Champion. And then interrupting Imperium was the New Day, Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods, and it led into their match, New Day versus Imperium. It gets thrown out, double count out, roughly 8 minutes and 40 seconds. Okay, a 2-for-1 deal here, obviously. Let's first address the elephant in the room here. Perfectly booked segment, in that it gave us the big news from Rollins at the top of the show, presented Gunther as a legitimate threat to win the Royal Rumble for the second week in a row, and teased what would be a match of the year candidate between the Reign General and the Visionary. That it ended with New Day attacking Imperium ahead of their match, intensifying what is already an incredibly personal feud, only enhanced the segment. Great way to start the show. Rollins teared up as he stood in the center of the ring, the gravity of the moment not lost on him, nor was the love and adoration of the WWE Universe. Gunther said, I'm hearing you may not make it to WrestleMania, and that kind of makes me sad. And the Reign General claimed he would win the Royal Rumble, challenge Rollins for the title at WrestleMania, where he would target his knee and the rest of his body before beating him and becoming World Heavyweight Champion. For New Day and Imperium, it's an NA, obviously. The double countout was only the beginning of the action, with the fight spilling around the ringside area and into the stands before all four men crashed to a table to put an exclamation point on the segment. Papa H and the creative team deserves a ton of credit for taking what felt like a nice little undercard program between two talented teams, probably just to keep them busy, and turning it into one of the more surprisingly intense in the company. It has, if nothing else, given New Day a much-needed edge and provided Kaiser and Vinci something of meaning to do other than being the cronies for Gunther. Triple H, the creative team, and all four guys involved have done a hell of a job building this feud into a strong tag team program. The intensity in particular has been on point. Michael Cole announced that Kofi Kingston will compete in the Royal Rumble match on Saturday. His 16th Royal Rumble match appearance, second all time, behind Hall of Famer Kane, who has like 18 or 19, I believe. The brawl that ended the bout and spilled into the crowd suggests there is likely to be a gimmick bout, perhaps a street fight. But I think based on what we saw, false count anywhere. That settles things once and for all. And both teams crashed off of equipment cases through a table on the floor in a cool spot to end the chaos. Even though it was a very good match, it's an NA because of the non-finish, but boy, howdy, was it fun to watch for what we got. So there isn't anything else left for me to say here, except I'm hoping the best for Seth freaking Rollins and that he'll be ready for WrestleMania. And we'll get the dream match that we're all hoping for. Seth Rollins and CM Punk for the World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania 40. So let the chips fall where they may. So not much more to say here. Good old MF Michael Fletcher, come on in. You're not really a doctor and you don't play one on TV, but you do have a very good understanding of injuries in sports, whether it be wrestling or the actual world of sports. I messaged you earlier about what you think would be the turnaround or turntable or the time frame for Seth freaking Rollins' recovery. He said grade 2 tear in his meniscus, and the doctors informed him 3 to 4 months with surgery. So you have a decent understanding of it. So share with our viewers what you shared to me and Bullock in our chat.
So basically the MCL is kind of what is called the medial, it's like a medial part of the knee. So there's like 3 different parts of the knee and the leg. That there's the ACL, the MCL, and the PCL. Now, for it to be a grade 2 tear of the MCL, that means he basically it's enough that causes discomfort. But the thing is, it's not a complete tear of the bone. That's why. So when they said it's a grade 2, that means it's enough that it's caused discomfort, but it's not like a complete tear of the MCL, which in one way is good, but it is also bad in itself. Now, if it requires surgery, which it sounds like they might have to do, then yes, the 3 to 4 month timetable is definitely there. However, if they do this without surgery, then he could be back within 4 to 6 weeks, meaning a month to month and a half is what we're looking at for a possible return for Seth freaking Rollins. In other words, what happened to Seth Rollins, if you remember, this is almost similar to the injury he got at WrestleMania 33 in Orlando. And that actually, he was sidelined. However, he was able to come back in time to compete at WrestleMania. So I think WWE is hoping that this will be the same outcome, that he will be clear to go, that all he probably needs is some rehab and some R&R, and that he should be able to compete at WrestleMania as the World Heavyweight Champion. So that's kind of more the hopeful wishing than anything else. But whatever the case may be, obviously our thoughts and prayers are with Seth freaking Rollins right now. And we hope that he does make a full recovery and that he will be fully and healed and ready to go. So, yeah, this was an interesting story when we heard about the injury. At first, we were thinking, we didn't know how bad or how severe it is. Grade 2 is pretty bad, but trust me, guys, if it's only 3 to 4, it could have been a lot worse because initially we were thinking maybe 6 to 9. But for us to get this point, I think we can legitimately say that it's actually very fortunate. We were very lucky with this announcement. So nothing more to say. Michael Bullock, it's yours.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, this was, yeah, when we heard the story, I mean, we were like, we thought that this was pretty bad. I mean, that we were thinking that, yeah, he was probably going to miss WrestleMania, but for it to be only a grade 2, and I mean, yes, it's still bad, but not that it's a complete tear. But we'll see if he has surgery or not, and if it doesn't require it, then like you said, I think, and he fully heals up, then I think we should see him at WrestleMania. But if he gets the surgery, yes, it's 3 to 4 months, but his status for WrestleMania is up in the air. But let's not forget another thing too. He didn't vacate the title. If this were really serious, he would have vacated the title already. So he's going to do whatever he can to make sure that he does wrestle at WrestleMania. So we're definitely going to have to keep an eye on this situation. So a great segment here. And yeah, of course, like you said, the match with Giovanni Vinci and Ludwig Kaiser against Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston, that's a definite NA on this one. So nothing more to say. Let's move on, Florio.
MF, did you give your thoughts on that match?
This is what is it?
The New Day and Imperium 840.
Oh, that was about three stars, Anthony.
Even though it was technically an NA, but
yeah,
but we're definitely looking at a false count anywhere on that one, no question about it. All right. So with that being said, let's move on now to our whoop. All right. Lot of backstage stuff with the Judgment Day, and Rhea Ripley got in everybody's faces. Oh yeah, no question about it. Ivy Nile squaring off against Valhalla. Ivy Nile wins the match, 2 minutes and 45 seconds. This is a cutout here. We don't really need to move on. Back and forth bout was short-lived, obviously. Match was too short to be what one would consider good. And Valhalla had not had nearly enough ring time to shake off the ring rust, but her facial expressions and body language made up for it. Above that, it was a fine showcase for Nile, who really should be doing something of note in the women's division. So I'm not even gonna we're not even gonna go any further into that, rather. 1 star for the effort. Nia Jax cuts a promo, interrupted by Becky Lynch and Bayley? This isn't SmackDown. This is Raw. But we later found out that Adam Pearce invited Damage Control to come to Raw. We'll have more on that later. But perhaps D3 favorites when it comes to the Women's Royal Rumble match. And they had their little, it was a brief segment, that furthered the issues between Becky and Nia. No doubt. Nia stood tall to close out the relatively one-dimensional segment that did nothing to further any ongoing feuds or really drum up that much more anticipation or excitement for Saturday's Women's Royal Rumble match. A disappointment given the star power involved. Not even gonna dignify that with any, not really going to dignify that. Dominic Mysterio, one-on-one with The Miz, and Dominic Mysterio wins the match in roughly an even 10 minutes. MF by hook or by crook. Huge win for Dominic in his singles career.
Yeah, and most definitely a dominant win for him, a big win for Dom heading into Rumble. And, you can say whatever you want to say, but he has definitely become one of the more polished guys in WWE. So, yeah, big win for him, about a 3 to 3.5 star bout. And Anthony Floyd, Michael Bullock, it's yours.
Yeah, say what you want about this, but this was definitely a big time win for Dominic Mysterio over someone like The Miz here. So yeah, there's really nothing more to say except this was a 3.25 star match here. So it's yours, Florio.
I'm with you, Bullock. 3 to 3.25 stars. The match itself was a perfectly acceptable one, thanks to Miz's ability to work with anyone and Mysterio's consistently improving in-ring work. Marred by a bit too much interference to really be much more than that, it was still a solid utilization of everyone involved as the slow burn to the inevitable Judgment Day split continues. And that's really all there is to say there. The only real highlight of note in this one was Miz breaking out a springboard crossbody, proof that even this late in his career, he's not above breaking out new moves. Next up, Chad Gable, one-on-one with Ivar. Ivar wins the match in an even 11 minutes. Michael Bullock, during our Raw chat tonight, we had a lot of fun with this match, especially the last few minutes. Especially, I mean, we went as far as to call it the sleeper fight of the night.
Yeah, this was the sleeper fight of the night here. I mean, I was gonna give it about 3.5 stars, but I'm bumping it down to 3.25 because Valhalla did have a say in it, and yeah, she's the reason why Ivar ended up winning this match here. So, but it was still good, but the ending just pretty much was left to be desired. So, it's yours, Florio.
Overall, it's a 3.5 star match, but it goes down to 3.25 because of the interference by Valhalla. This was a fantastic match that had let me say it like this. Stop me if you've heard this before. Chad Gable and Ivar had a banger tonight. Two of the more unsung performers on the Raw roster tore the house down, winning over the New Orleans fans en route to the Viking Raiders win. Fantastic match that had fans biting on the false finishes, proof that putting two talented wrestlers in the ring and letting them work for the fans' attention and appreciation is still possible. The outcome suggests the feud will continue, but one has to wonder how much life is left in it, given how long the Alpha Academy Viking Raider program has already stretched on. Chad Gable's T-bone suplex from the top rope was incredible, especially given the risk involved. So there isn't much more to say here. It's overall 3.5, but bumped down to 3.25 because of the Valhalla appearance there. But other than that, absolutely incredible match. So not much more to say. MF, Chad Gable, average sized guy. He did all those moves to a man that big.
And not only that, but that guy who's that big could actually equal and do some of those kind of moves that a cruiserweight can do. So no, these two guys, I mean, give credit where credit's due. This was easily 3.5 to 3.75. You can even make an argument for 4 if you wanted to. I won't even hold that against you. So no, this was definitely sleeper fight of the night. And this was a banger. Everybody was saying this was a banger. They loved it. So, no, there's nothing more to say. Anthony, it's yours.
All right. All right, gentlemen. Here we go. The big segment here. The American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, CM Punk, Face to face. There's nothing left to say. Segment of the night. And I know it's early in the year, but right now, segment of the year. In the most anticipated segment of tonight's show, CM Punk and Cody Rhodes came face to face in the center of the ring for an explosive promo segment. The competitors and Royal Rumble match opponents spoke of the late great Dusty Rhodes and took a few digs at each other before Punk claimed to be more like his father than Cody. The American Nightmare fired off a retort, claiming to be more CM Punk than the man standing before him. Anyone expecting references to AEW or the issues that led to them leaving the promotion has unreasonable expectations. Instead, two great talkers laid the foundation of their story by recalling real-life history between them, and while that meant inciting the memory of the American Dream, it resulted in a tense stare-down that only served to intensify the intrigue surrounding Saturday's Rumble match. More importantly, it planted the seeds for a potential showdown between two of the top babyfaces on Raw if Seth Rollins is unable to compete at WrestleMania and WWE needs a backup plan. Where to start? When the American Dream asks you for a favor, you say yes, Punk said of Dusty Rhodes' request that he keep an eye on Cody way back in 2007. We became friends, and what makes this so bittersweet? Rhodes said of his relationship with Punk and their impending battle in the Rumble. I'm more of the American Dream than you are, Punk said, citing his father's blue-collar background and generating the first ooze of the night from the WWE Universe. Cody also said when you left, you didn't pass the torch, you dropped it. You know who picked it up? I did. Everything you spoke about, I did. When you talked, I walked. What's actually ironic is that makes me more CM Punk than you. And then Punk said there was a much bigger star who came back and was ready to take away the finish to Cody's story. He was talking about himself. Absolutely fantastic segment. Segment of the night. And I'll even go as far as to call it segment of the year up to this point right now. Go out of your way to see this segment. This was absolutely amazing. So there isn't anything else left to say here. MF, I mean, do not be surprised if we see these two men as the final two on Saturday night.
I don't know if they're going to be final two, but they're definitely going to be in the final four of the Royal Rumble. I don't know if final two would be possible. I think there's other players in here that we're not talking about that could instantly be at the end at the Royal Rumble, including maybe a surprise entrant that we are not even discussing yet. Well, I'll get into that on Friday night. Now, as far as this goes, this was absolutely what we expected it to see. You got your popcorn, you got your soda or orange soda, water, whatever the hell you're going to drink. You got your beverage and you sat in and you knew we were about to witness something amazing. And that's exactly what it was. Cody Rhodes and CM Punk bringing the fire, bringing the passion, bringing everything that they needed it to do, and doing it in a way that is not surprising one bit to any of us. We knew something good was going to come out of this, and sure enough, it did. Yeah, there's really nothing more to add. This was as good as you could have gotten, and like Anthony said, segment of the night, and you could easily make an argument for this being the segment of 2024 right out of the gate, 22 days in, and we're already talking about this being maybe segment of the year. I mean, that's as good as you're going to get. So nothing more to say. Michael Bullock, it's yours, my friend.
Yeah, this was definitely this segment of the night, and at this point, the early candidate for segment of the year. I mean, these two certainly did not hold back. I mean, saying that they were going to win the Royal Rumble match. I mean, yeah, I mean, I just enjoyed the talk between these two, and yeah, I mean, And I'm with Florio. I think these two are going to be the final two at in the Royal Rumble match. I mean, after everything that we saw with these two tonight, I mean, I think they got to be the last two. So we'll see how it all plays out. So there's really nothing more to say. It's yours, Florio.
All right, and we move on to a women's tag team matchup. Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark squaring off against Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell. And it was Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark winning the match 6 minutes and 35 seconds. MF, I think we have another another set of challengers for your girls in the tag team titles.
Absolutely. You could say this is about a 2 to 2.5 star bout. Solid matchup for what it was worth. And yeah, you kind of have to feel like this is definitely a nice win for Zoe and for Shayna. But I have to say this, man. For all of the good that Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell has done, man, they've been struggling to find an identity on the main roster. It's been very unfortunate because they came off being really one of the more powerful duos on NXT. And unfortunately, it has not transpired when you're talking about the main roster. It's been somewhat disappointing, to say the very least, for these two women. There was high expectations. You remember coming out from the way, and as far as Indy Hartwell with Index, with Dexter Lumis, we have not even seen Dexter Lumis in ages. We don't even know, where he's been, if he's been injured. Do they got any storyline for him? We haven't heard nothing from him up to this point. So I don't know, man. It kind of feels very unfortunate what's been happening with Indy and Candice. But for Zoe Stark and for Shayna Baszler, hey, a nice win. This partnership looks like it's working, and yeah, like you said, they could be the next challengers for the WWE Women's Tag Team titles. But remember, Anthony, there's a big fight coming up. Kabuki Warriors versus Candice LeRae and Katana Chance and Kaden Carter. My apologies. I'm so excited right now. As they got to put the tag team titles on the line next week. So nothing more to say, Anthony. Michael Bullock, it's yours.
Yeah, I'll give this about maybe a 2-star match. I mean, I thought it was fine for what it was. I mean, yeah, I think we're looking at the next challengers with Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark, and that's going to be a real tough challenge for Katana Chance and Kaden Carter. But they've overcome so many things. I think they could retain against these two, but of course they got to get through the Kabuki Warriors first Friday night on SmackDown. So nothing more to say. It's yours, Florio.
2.5 stars. Absolutely. Wade Barrett credited Chance and Carter's title victory for injecting renewed life into the women's tag team division. The way that Stark and Baszler are constantly on the verge of beating the hell out of each other instead of their opponents helps set them apart from every other team in the division, for better or worse. And, of course, like I said, Damage Control took over again. Asuka and Kairi Sane attacking Chance and Carter. Kabuki Warriors stood tall to close out the segment and put some shine on their upcoming title bout Friday night on SmackDown in Miami. So,
yeah, but Booking 101, that was a mistake, girls.
Yeah,
you should not have done that. Should not have done that.
I'm afraid the tag titles are going to be staying on Raw a little bit longer. MF, sorry to say. I know you would love to have them back on.
Because remember, we're talking about Damage Control here. This might be one of the rare times where a mistake happens, where the Kabuki Warriors do that. But remember, look who's outside the ring. Look who's also
Bayley.
might be involved. Not only do you got to deal with Bayley, you also got to deal with Dakota. You also got to deal with Io. So, I mean, strength in numbers here. There's a very good chance we've been talking about maybe a new women's tag team champions. Who knows? The belts could be coming to SmackDown. Maybe that's just the overconfidence of the Kabuki Warriors because of who they got. So who knows, Anthony? That Booking 101 might rear its ugly head, or could this be a booking decision where they just give the Kabuki Warriors the titles?
Perhaps. So we'll wait and see what happens.
Wow, I can't believe I actually heard that from Fletch about his girls, because I thought he would go with the Booking 101, but with him basically saying there's a good chance that we could see new tag team champions, I'm like, man, could he actually be going against his girls? But we'll have to wait and see.
Well, the reason why I got to say that is, I hate to say this, but strength in numbers. This is one of those times where you gotta look at the situation and look at who the Kabuki Warriors have. You know they're gonna want to bring the belts home. You know they're gonna do whatever it takes to win the women's tag team titles. Now, if Kaden Carter and Katana Chance, if they somehow, some way, successfully defend these titles on SmackDown and win it, my love affair for these girls goes exponentially sky high. But the thing is, I also have to realize there's three lovely ladies that's going to be on the side of the Kabuki Warriors that's going to do whatever it takes to win those belts and bring it to Damage Control. That's why I'm a little concerned for it. Yes, normally Booking 101 would say Katana and Kaden are going to win. But even I know that when you got strength in numbers and you got a squad on your side, that's the equalizer on the whole thing, where Booking 101 won't mean crap in a situation like this.
Okay. So you heard it here first. All right. Let's set the table here. Next week, next Monday night on Raw, we got Bronson Reed going one-on-one with main event Jey Uso. And we have not one, but two championship matches. Gunther will defend the Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship against the challenger and former champion in his own right, Kofi Kingston. And we also have Finn Balor and Damian Priest defending the undisputed tag team championship against DIY. Get ready, Tampa. You got yourself one hell of a show next week, which will feature the debut of our favorite boys, something we got to point to last March, the WrestleMania sign. So get ready for that, gentlemen. Main event time. Drew McIntyre squaring off against Damian Priest, and Drew McIntyre wins the match 13 minutes and 5 seconds. Michael Bullock, your thought on the main event?
Yeah, I thought this excuse me. I thought this was a solid main event here. I'm gonna give this about maybe 3.5 stars on this one. I mean, yeah, I mean, it was still good, but like you said, the reason why the loss happened because there was a little screw up on the part of R-Truth. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know what this means when it comes to this. So, yeah, there's really nothing more to say. It is yours, Florio.
3.25, 3.5. The loss furthers one of the most unexpectedly entertaining stories in WWE while providing McIntyre a much-needed win ahead of the Royal Rumble. Does he stand a chance at winning? No. but WWE and Triple H have done a good enough job of presenting him as a threat that he does not appear out of place alongside the likes of CM Punk and Cody Rhodes. McIntyre continues to be a fixture on WWE TV despite reports that he has yet to sign a new deal with the company. Damian Priest's rise since last April at Backlash has been one of the bright spots on Monday nights. His presence and raw ability are undeniable. The broken arrow from Priest to McIntyre onto the announce table was wicked and did not look like it felt good at all. The strikes in this were heavy and on point. 3.25 to 3.5 stars. So strange main event. I thought it was a really odd choice to close this Royal Rumble go-home show. I would have much rather have Punk and Cody with their face-to-face close out this show here tonight, with all due respect. But it is what it is. So not much more to say here. MF, your thoughts on the main event?
I gotta say, that main event was insane. That match was wild. The only downside I had was the interjection of R-Truth. They didn't really need to do that. They didn't really need to go there. I wish he would have stayed out of it. Let McIntyre and let Damian Priest have a true one-on-one. It does give a little bit of a scapegoat more than anything else, but it also hurt Damian Priest in the outset because it made him look like a buffoon. It did. I just feel like that was a horrible ending. Great win for Drew McIntyre ahead of the Royal Rumble on Saturday. And yes, it's Saturday, not Sunday, Gunther. Just letting you know. Just letting you know. But whatever the case may be, it was a fine match. It was a 3.5-star bout. But like I said, it could have been so much better if they didn't have the R-Truth situation at the end. So nothing more to say. And Michael Bullock, it's yours.
Well, Bullock led off, and we lost him for a moment. So probably pressed the wrong button again, I'm sure. So we do await his return here. So as we await his return, let's dive on into the overall review of this go-home show tonight to start Royal Rumble week. There was a lot to like about this show. Seth Rollins' announcement at the top of the broadcast felt like a big deal, as did the face-to-face confrontation between CM Punk and Cody Rhodes. In between, we had some great brawling from New Day and Imperium as their rivalry continued to intensify. And I'll be honest, Chad Gable and Ivar had the fight of the night. The Judgment Day's slow disintegration continued. The friendship between Damian Priest and R-Truth took a step back. And the women's tag team division continued to be featured as Triple H attempts to drag that roster out of the doldrums and into prestige. With that said, there seemed to be a consistent lack of urgency surrounding the Royal Rumble throughout the show. The event and the namesake matches were hyped in individual segments, but what should have been a major sell job felt more subdued than in years past. Perhaps that is because Triple H and his team believe they have done a good enough job of selling the intrigue surrounding the Rumble matches themselves. Maybe it is the overly long runtime of Raw that prevents that big go home show feel. Whatever the case, it was lacking tonight. Still, there was more good than bad, and enough to earn the show a better than average rating. So for me, I would say somewhere between 7.5 to 8 out of 10. So if you're pressed for time, the Rollins segment to start it, the match with New Day and Imperium, the Punk and Cody segment, the Ivar and Chad Gable bout, and maybe Priest and McIntyre, although I'm not overly sure about that one. But other than that one, definitely go out of your way to see the other things I advised you to do. So 7.5 to 8 out of 10 from me. So with that being said, MF, your thoughts on this go home to Royal Rumble edition of Raw to kick off Royal Rumble week? MF, are you there?
7 to 7.5 out of 10. I thought it was a solid opener. Really nothing more to add. So, Bullock, welcome back. It's yours.
Yeah, I'll give it about a 7.5 for this edition of Raw. I mean, you pretty much touched on everything, so let's get into your Tony's take for you.
The return of TNA Impact Wrestling last Thursday night. The taping from the Palms Casino in Las Vegas, Nevada. The fallout from Hard to Kill. And we started it off with a 6-man matchup, a six-pack challenge, if you will. Kushida versus Trey Miguel versus Laredo Kid versus Speedball Mike Bailey versus El Hijo del Vikingo versus Jake Something. Jake Something wins the match. 4-star match. Incredible jump off. Then we had a match. Knockouts action. Xia Brookside squaring off against Tasha Steelz. Xia Brookside wins the match. 2.5 stars, the rating for that match. Grizzled Young Veterans squaring off against TNA Originals, Frankie Kazarian and Eric Young. And it was GYV winning the match. But then after the match was over, Frankie Kazarian turns heel on Eric Young. Wow. 3.5 stars for that match. And then a promo segment from Nick Nemeth, a.k.a. Dolph Ziggler. Cut a great promo interrupted by Steve Macklin. Fantastic segment. Go out of your way to see it. And then Jay Vidal against PCO. PCO wins the match. Dud. Worst fight of the night. Not even going to dignify it. Main event. Can you believe we actually got this on free cable television, guys? This is a match you would think, oh, we got to pay like $40-$50 to see it on pay-per-view. No, you got it on free cable television. I'm the only one who actually gets this channel. MF and Bullock, unfortunately, you guys don't get it, but boy, howdy, I wish you guys did. Because you missed out on the walking weapon, Josh Alexander, going one-on-one with Will Ospreay. And get this, Josh Alexander won the match. I'm going to tell you like it is. I'm going to tell it like it is right here and right now. 5-star classic. And for me, my early match of the year for 2024 already. You got to go out of your way to see it. And then, as if that wasn't great enough, Scott D'Amore comes out, cuts a promo, and let me tell you, his promo was just as 5 stars as that match was. Excellent way to close out that show. This was an 8.5 out of 10. Fantastic episode of Impact to mark the return of the TNA brand. Great 6-way X Division match to start the show. The X Division was featured exactly how I wanted it to be featured. Fast-paced, multi-man match with talent from USA, Canada, Mexico, and Japan, each getting to show their thing. Solid Impact debut for Xia Brookside. I'm looking forward to seeing more of her in the future. Solid debut promo from Nick Nemeth and a really good exchange with Steve Macklin, who came off great as well. The Alexander Ospreay match was greatness, as you would expect, and Will Ospreay is arguably the best in the world right now at laying out bouts that keep building in tension with a bunch of false finishes with signature moves while still being able to protect his finisher and putting over his opponent as well. A match that could have easily main evented Bound for Glory and fitting for what possibly could be Ospreay's last match in a TNA ring. That was an 8.5 out of 10. There was absolutely no question about that. And I'm going to see if we can set the table for this upcoming week's show. It doesn't look like I have anything, but oh wait, never mind, I do. Excuse me. Nick Nemeth, Dolph Ziggler, makes his TNA in-ring debut. He goes one-on-one with Zachary Wentz of the Rascals. 2 huge main events. Jordynne Grace defends the Knockouts Championship against the Knockouts she took that title from at Hard to Kill, Trinity, a.k.a. Naomi. And how about this 6-man tag team main event? The System, World Heavyweight Champion Moose, Eddie Edwards, and Brian Myers to take on, you ready for this, guys? The Motor City Machine Guns, Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin, and their partner, the Rainmaker, Kazuchika Okada. Yes. Go out of your way Thursday night. MF, I swear I can hear you salivating right now. I swear I can hear it. So, yes, that you heard me right. Moose, Eddie Edwards, Brian Myers versus the Motor City Machine Guns and Kazuchika Okada. That goes down this Thursday night on Impact Wrestling. Boy, howdy, you do not want to miss that. Let me tell you. So that's the story there. NXT Level Up, and then we'll get on out of here, guys. As we progress with Royal Rumble week, NXT Level Up. Scripps with OTM in his corner going up against Brooks Jensen. Scripps wins the match, 5 minutes, 5 seconds. I am digging the gimmick from Jensen. I'm not sold as Scripps being a heel. Handspring cutter was nice, though. 1.5 stars. JC Jane versus Carly Bright. JC Jane in 2 minutes, 9 seconds. We don't get many straight-up squashes on that show, but it is what it was. Bright showed up a backslide, and that was kind of it. JC Jane rolls along. Dud, squash, delicious squash. Hank Walker and Tank Ledger versus Charlie Dempsey and Damon Kemp of the No Quarter Catch Crew. And Kemp and Gulak win the match, 6 minutes and 12 seconds. Solid tag match with each team showing some potential. I like the catch cause and the idea behind it. NXT is becoming faction heavy, which is fine. 2.25 stars. Default fight of the night. 6 out of 10. Back to what we usually get from this show after the disappointing show the previous week. Nothing must see this week, but the tag match was solid. The squash was kind of fun. Easy watch and what we come to expect from this show. So that's really all I can say on that. So 6 out of 10 for me. And with that will indeed put the bow on this edition of Ridiculously Raw. We want to thank you all so very much for tuning in as always. We will be back with you tomorrow night over on, or I should say we'll be back with you on whatchamacallit there, Wednesday night. I'm sorry, I'm just so excited, you know. We'll be back with you next on Wednesday night at 10:30 over on MF's channel, Racefan 95, as it will be Wednesday Night Madness, NXT, AEW Dynamite, get into that. And then Friday night, we got a treat for you folks. Yes, it's typically TXN Sports World NFL Friday, and it will be, as we will be previewing the AFC and NFC Championship games. Of course, in the AFC Championship game, it will be the Kansas City Chiefs squaring off against the Baltimore Ravens. And in the NFC Championship game, the Detroit Lions and the San Francisco 49ers. That all goes down this Sunday. We will have our previews of those games. And on top of that, how about a preview of the 37th annual Royal Rumble pay-per-view? And because of that Royal Rumble event, we will not have a show on Saturday night because you know that thing's going to run long. You know it will. It did last year, and I'm almost certain it will again this year. So, especially with 2 Royal Rumble matches, don't you know? So, we'll keep you posted on future programming after that. But that is the programming for this week. And then a week from tonight, we do it all again. Ridiculously Raw as we officially jumpstart the road to WrestleMania. So that's it. So until Wednesday night for Wednesday Night Madness, Anthony Florio here for good old MF Michael Fletcher and the Phenom Michael Bullock. And of course, always and forever in spirit, the one and only first lady of this here show, the one and only Twisted Angel Didi Woodson. You know the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah. Throw it up Fortune 4 style. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. Have a blessed couple of days. And until Wednesday night for Wednesday Night Madness, you've been watching Ridiculously Raw right here on the Zone 25 on YouTube and StreamYard.com. And remember, my friends, no matter what anyone tells you beyond anything else, wrestling is indeed actually real. For everybody who has been a part of this one. For now, Anthony Florio, so long, and bye, everybody, bye.